Good evening. As municipal clerk, I'll call this meeting to order. All members are present with the exception of Chair McNamara, who sends his regrets. And with that, then I would like to call for a motion to appoint an acting chair for this quarter revision. Okay, Councillor Tonio, moved. Okay, Councillor Dorner, second. Any questions? All in favor? Oh, my apologies. Go on. Forget.
I would like to nominate Councillor Jobin as our acting chair.
Thank you. And Councillor Dorner, you second. Okay. All in favor again? Thank you.
Well, good evening and welcome everybody. I'll do the land acknowledgement to begin. We acknowledge that we are on land and surrounded by water originally inhabited by Indigenous peoples who've traveled this area since time immemorial. This territory is within the lands honored by the Wampun Treaties, agreements between the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Lenni Lenape, and allied nations to peacefully share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Specifically, we like to acknowledge the presence of the Three Fires Confederacy, Ojibwe, Ottawa, Potawatomi, and Huron-Wendat peoples. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture while remaining committed to moving forward respectfully with all of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interests by any members of council? Okay, seeing none. So the purpose of this meeting is to hear from any affected owners who wish to appeal his or her assessment or any part thereof as set out in the drainage report for the East Townline drain prepared by Mark Hernandez, dated April 14th. I'm going to call upon our drainage superintendent, Alicia Musio, to provide an update on this project.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On May 23rd, 2023, Council approved the technical aspects of the report at the meeting to consider and provisionally adopted bylaw 2023-063. One landowner registered as a delegate and presented their questions to Council. As directed by Council, administration along with the engineer have met with and addressed the landowner's concerns and have updated the watershed plan and future maintenance assessment schedule accordingly. Since the meeting to consider, administration has fielded phone calls and emails from affected landowners with questions about the drain and the Drainage Act process. One landowner, Ms. Bigger, has registered as a delegate for tonight's meeting. I spoke with the delegate's spouse this morning and they provided me with their questions and concerns about the drain and how they are affected by the drainage works. Mr. Mark Hernandez from Dillon Consulting is also joining us tonight to help answer any questions that the court or the delegate may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Musio. Do we have any questions at this time from board members? No. So then I will call upon our first delegate, Barbara Bigger. Welcome. I'll just need you, take a seat and put the mic on when you talk, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm at 1778 L'Esperance Road, and my concern was obviously not the cost of $16 for 2 acres is per year. That seems reasonable for quite an extensive project. I'm just unclear on how our property fits into it, why some of our neighbors aren't on the list. And then I ran into some questions about my own property because it wasn't listed in our name. So I've got other questions to pursue tomorrow. But you know, it's a sewer drain a year and a half ago. And now we're being part of a different drain. And I was just confused about how we feed into that part of it. We're in the C section, I believe. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Musio, are you prepared to respond to that question? or even if Mr. Hernandez would like to join us to respond.
Thank you and good evening. I think as was mentioned earlier, this was a discussion that came up during the board meetings for the sear drain. This landowner does use the sear drain, which then in turn goes to the East Townline drain. And I think maybe that's where the confusion is. So landowners may have 1, 2, or more drains that they utilize to ultimately get their water to a sufficient outlet. And that's the case here. So that's why there would have been the sear drain in previous meetings and now the East Townline drain, because this work is downstream of that area.
I couldn't see where some neighbors are listed and others aren't, and what the difference was between that.
So within the watershed, we use what we call blocks, which is basically a matter of efficiency where we have very dense areas and we will group them together under a block and assess to that block. And then administration in turn takes that amount and assesses it to the lands within that block. So where there are larger parcels that aren't in the block, they'll be named specifically. Where they're in the block, you'll just see it to the block, and that may be it's either that or areas where it's on the limit of the watershed. If a land is or property is in another watershed, it could be on the boundary. That could be part of the reason. Or if they are in the same watershed, it could be because they're in the block and they're just being assessed in a different way.
Okay, thank you for joining us, Barbara. If you have any additional questions, feel free to contact the Drainage Department. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Hernandez, do you have any additional comments in reference to the works at this time?
Yes, thank you very much. I just wanted to elaborate a little bit on what Ms. Musio said earlier. Based on the discussion at the last meeting, we had noted that there was a few properties that needed to be added to the schedule. And through further conversation, there was a number of emails, correspondence, and meetings. We did take care of a few housekeeping items, nothing really significant or concerning, but just want to note it just for the record here. So we did add those properties that were along the Antea that we spoke about at the last meeting. That change has been made. We did revise the Block C to reflect the Block C area that was established in the previous drain report, just for consistency. So that it would match. We identified a few properties that were that should fall under the agricultural section that were in the non-ag, and we just wanted to make sure that that was cleaned up as it relates to identifying properties that have the potential to get the farm tax, that have the farm tax class rate and are eligible for grant. And then the last item was there was some parcel changes that administration made us aware of. They provided that information and we reflected that. It was about 3 properties. So those 4 housekeeping items have been addressed, and a revised watershed plan, parcel information plan, and Schedule E has been provided to administration.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Any questions or comments from members? Okay, so seeing none and seeing that there are no appeals and no further questions, I will ask the court to render its decision noting the recommendation that the assessments contained in the drainage report, inclusive of the revisions for the East Townline drain prepared by Mark Hernandez, dated April 14th, 2023, be confirmed by this court. Moved by Councillor Higgison and Councillor Tonio. Support? All in favor? So the assessments contained in the drainage report for the East Townline drain be prepared and are confirmed as of April, dated April 14th, 2023, be confirmed. Thank you. We do have some communications, 1, 2, and 3. Moved by Councillor Tonio, Councillor Higgison. Everyone's in favor. So communications from 1 to 3 as listed on the Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023 quarter revision agenda be received. And now we're just looking to adjourn. Moved by Counselor Tonio, Counselor Gazin, and all in favor. So this meeting, Tuesday, June 27th, meeting of the quarter revision is adjourned. Thank you. Let's go read there. So the one provision was he had